Hello, guys, and welcome to Oddspedia Premier League Matchday 31. And we have, of course, Tom Rennie with us to analyze this title race. Exciting, and also the relegation battle, and also the Champions League battle. Everything with Thomas Rennie. Hello, Tom.
All good? There's so much going on. I'm so excited to be with you for another Thursday preview.
Exciting. We've seen Man City and Chelsea in the Champions League. Also, we have Premier League teams playing on Thursday, and we are going to analyze everything that happens in the weekend in the Premier League with Tom Rennie, with you guys. Remember, we want to know your opinion. What do you think? Leave us your tips, predictions, comments, and of course, press the like, subscribe, and now let's go on with the show. And the first one is a very good one. Tom, what a game. We have Aston Villa, Newcastle, two of the teams that they are overperforming in this season. What would have happened if Unai Emery had come to Birmingham before, but still they are even in the European fight. We were mentioning some weeks ago that perhaps they were thinking in the next season, but not. They could play Europe in the next season, getting really good results, 4 straight victories for Aston Villa. So it won't be easy for Newcastle, also in great form with 5 consecutive victories. Someone's run is going to end on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, not a game, if we spoke about this 5-6 weeks ago, I thought would be a decider for potential European football for both teams, but that's the way it's turning out. I mean, let's talk about Aston Villa. Let's talk about what they've done in recent weeks. The form has been incredible, absolutely incredible. 4 wins in their last 5, an incredible victory over Leicester City away from home, a great victory over Chelsea, a game I was working on. They were phenomenal that day. John McGinn, one of the most outstanding individual performances of the entire season. I went to the West Ham game where they drew and should have won. And there's just something about Aston Villa. Yes, momentum, that means a lot. Yes, confidence, that means a lot. Defensive solidity, Tyrone Mings playing really, really well. Emi Martinez showing the form that made him the Golden Glove winner from last season. But Ollie Watkins is the story, right? Ollie Watkins' form, Ollie Watkins scoring goals, Ollie Watkins looking like he can't be denied at this moment in time. And as much as football is a team game, team, it's also about individuals and individuals being outstanding. You know, do Real Madrid win the Champions League without Ronaldo? Do Barca do it without Messi? On and on and on we could go. I'm not saying Ollie Watkins is that, but right now, he is the go-to guy in this league. His goal-scoring form, absolutely incredible. And this weekend, I'd be looking at all sorts of Ollie Watkins requester bets. Villa to win, Watkins to score any time might double up your chances of getting something here in this game. Just 3.8 to 4 to 1 for them to win is actually pretty good, considering the form that they have been in. So I wouldn't just discount that from the outset. Defensively strong, midfield looks very energetic, creative. Even Bertrand Traore, who I've considered to be a bit of a busted flush for the best part of 4 or 5 years, looks like he's doing it at this moment in time. Scored the first goal and played really well against a poor Forest last week. Let's be fair about that. As for Newcastle, we thought it was all over for them. Was it 5 games without victory, 2 defeats, 3 draws? And then suddenly they snap back into life. 5 wins in a row. The win over West Ham was impressive. We spoke about that last week. But I think the win over Brentford was more impressive because Brentford didn't capitulate in the way West Ham did. Brentford were in that game the entirety of it, and still Newcastle were able to win. So it's a fascinating game, this one. Away from home, Villa, one of the best in the country on recent form and across the campaign. Newcastle United, home and away, winning every single game right now. So it's a very difficult one to predict. I think all possibilities should be on the table for people looking for bets this weekend. Aston Villa, if they're to win, combine it with a Watkins goal, you're going to get that around 5 to 1. I don't discount the draw market, but I kind of feel like there's so much on the line here. Both will push for a winner. If Newcastle are to win, look at their recent away victories. Look at their recent away form. How have they done it? 1-2. How have they done it? 1-5. How have they done it? 1-2. That means both teams score. If you go in Newcastle win, both teams score. And never, ever go exact scoreline, I know. But if you can work out a bet on Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 2, if you fancy Newcastle, that's what I'd be looking at.
Okay, so I guess you don't agree with Hassan saying that he's going for an under 2.5 goals battle of defenses.
Look, I think that the two defences are really good, but we're at the stage of the season now where I think you're going to see less 0-0s and more 2-2s. You're at the season now where there is no other game coming around the corner. This is the time where it has to happen. So I would probably avoid the under-over for this game because I think picking a winner is going to be a more fruitful outcome for you in the two bets that I've picked out already. But I think if I was going over or under, I'd probably go over, but I'm avoiding that.
Great game, this one, Aston Villa Newcastle. Arbo telling us Newcastle is on fire, but so it is Aston Villa, so they are in the same page in this regard. Next game, Chelsea Brighton. Someone could call it the Graham Potter's derby, but he's not there anymore. None for Chelsea or for Brighton. Chelsea, they need to score goals. No victories in the last 5 games. Also, 0 goals scored at Bernabeu. Same in the Molineux Stadium against Wolverhampton. And for Brighton, they lost to Spurs, but still they have some hopes to play in Europe. It's difficult not to back Chelsea, even with these really high odds for Chelsea to win at home.
I wouldn't touch Chelsea. I wouldn't touch Chelsea right now with a single penny of my money. Look, if you were doing a bet that had no risk to you, sure, pick Chelsea and see what happens. But they are right now, in terms of form, in terms of quality, in terms of creativity, in terms of results, they're down there with Southampton, with Leicester, with Forest. In the form guide, they're atrocious at this moment in time. If the season started 5 games ago, they'd be 16th in the table. And their performance at Real Madrid, look, it was all right. It was perfectly acceptable. They went there like a lower down in the table La Liga team to not get beat by too much. It was a respectable defeat, right? You know, God bless them and all that. But they're meant to be Chelsea. They're meant to be the bestrident big spenders of Premier League football. And they continue to embarrass themselves with the way this season has gone. And right now, you know what's funny? Crystal Palace last weekend, we could say we're in relegation trouble. I think we can discount them now following that surprise win at Leeds. They're only 6 points behind Chelsea. So if Palace were in a relegation battle, Chelsea aren't that far off. There's no chance of European football. There's nothing to play for. They don't know how to play. And Frank Lampard has come into what? What's the point? What is the point of Frank Lampard being there? There simply is no point in him coming in apart from, well, we've got some games to fulfill. They're games of now of contractual obligation. So I wouldn't look at Chelsea to win at 2.7. I mean, even though that's a good odds for Chelsea to win anytime, I'd avoid that. Love Brighton. Love the way they play. And I think that they'll be so annoyed with last weekend. I picked them to win against Tottenham. And frankly, they did win against Tottenham. The only thing that stopped them winning was some of the worst officiating you're ever going to see. Some terrible decisions. The Mitoma goal should have stood. It wasn't handball. Mitoma should have had a penalty. There was nothing wrong with that. And that's a totally different game before Harry Kane goes on to win it for Tottenham, who, again, were abysmal, but got a result in the match. So I feel hard done by for our viewers, and I'm sure that Brighton feel hard done by as well. I think they go into this game smarting, but still full of confidence. Look at the various markets here for Brighton and Hove Albion. Look at them to win this game without conceding. Brighton's defence this season has been terrific. 36 goals conceded. Compare that to some other strong teams up there. Liverpool 35, Man City 27, Arsenal 29, Man United 37 conceded. So it's on the upper level of good defence this year, Brighton. Plus offence, 52 goals scored is extraordinary compared to Chelsea 29. So I wouldn't touch Chelsea, even though it's a pretty decent number for them to win for Chelsea's usual. Double chance this if you want with the Brighton win and a draw. I would also be looking here at Brighton to score in both halves. I like Brighton a lot. I think Brighton are going to win both halves. I think Brighton are going to win this personally without conceding. If they don't score, then it's a 0-0. I cannot see Chelsea scoring against Brighton in this game, and I certainly wouldn't back Chelsea the way they've recently played.
Sterling was very poor at Bernabeu. Also, Joao Felix didn't participate that match. Mudryk, 0 minutes. And I've read that Chelsea have lost more games this season than won. Imagine this piece of a stat for a team like Chelsea, spending millions. So bad season for the Blues. Another blue team, Everton, playing Against Fulham, massive game for Everton. They have the same points as the relegation right now. Nottingham Forest, they lost to Man United before they got important points against Spurs or Chelsea. So they are very competitive under Sean Dyche. And I guess, Tom, they are targeting this game because Fulham, they are just letting it go for consecutive defeats. Nothing to play for Fulham.
Yeah, best team to play in the country right now, Fulham, because the season's over for them. They achieved their goals, massively overachieved, really. We all thought they'd be in a relegation battle. I think next year they might be back in that conversation, but the first half of this season was so spectacular for them. 39 points. They can lose every single game between now and the end of the campaign and still be safe, which was the only goal of Fulham this campaign. So poor against West Ham last week, couldn't create without Mitrovic, who remains suspended, and I don't see them scoring in this game here against an Everton side who, for their many, many flaws, they certainly know how to defend. And look at the home form under Sean Dyche. 3 wins in 5, no goals conceded in victories over Arsenal and the most recent victory as well. So, look, I think that Everton are still going to be in a bit of trouble come the end of this season. This will take them to 30 points with the win that I think they will get. I think 2 more wins in the final 7 games is going to be a real stretch for Everton, but this is the one you would target all day long. How do they win it? They win it without conceding. That's how Sean Dyche wins tend to be. So Everton win this game without conceding is how I double up this bet. 2-1 for Everton is quite nice. And as ever, it's Sean Dyche. So what am I going to say? Look at the corners market. Look at the corners market for Everton. Over 8 in this game is a guarantee. Over 12, I wouldn't discount if they get on the front foot. And look at the defenders to score goals. Who scored against Tottenham Hotspur? Michael Keane, centre-half. Who scored against Arsenal? James Tarkowski, centre-half. Who scored against Leeds? Seamus Coleman, full-back. So Everton win without conceding, under 2.5, and look at the back line for the goal.
Good one here to go for Everton. Most of our people agree, actually. Everton to win and Fulham without Mitrovic. With the appointment of Sean Dyche for Everton, this should be a victory for Everton. They really need it. And next game is also for the relegation battle. Southampton, Crystal Palace. Probably this is the last call for Southampton. Now 4 points away from salvation from Everton, and it's going to be tough for Southampton because Crystal Palace, since they changed manager also, they are winning away against Leeds. They beat Leicester City, and they are now 6 points away from relegation, as you mentioned. If they win this one, they are completely safe, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, they're at the conversation now, really, Crystal Palace. I think 33, it's 6 clear of Forest. Forest aren't going to make that up with what's left, so I think that's going to be already near enough for Crystal Palace. One more win, as you say, 36 on average always gets you there. On Southampton, I mean, I agree with you. This is such a must-win game in every possible way. They're starting to look adrift. Turning over 4 points with the form they've had this season is already looking massively difficult. That's what they've got to do on Everton right now and Nottingham Forest, who sit on 27. I don't see it. I see a team that makes no sense. I see a team that has been put together by 3 different managers, a team that's been put together on the cheap. I don't see a great deal of Premier League quality. I've said that to you all season. They're the only team I really felt absolutely guaranteed to go down. And their home form has been woeful across the campaign, despite a recent win over Leicester City at home for 2 or 3 years. They have struggled to win. If you are going to back Southampton, which I don't advise, you've got to look at the 1-0 market. They win without conceding a goal. Can they keep the opponents out? If they can, they are able to score a goal. I like Carlos Alcaraz. I think he's a good player. I like Kamaldeen Suleiman on the left wing, the Ghanaian. I think he's a good player. They have got pace in behind, but that's not where my money's going to go. My money will be going on 2 scores, draw and Crystal Palace. Look at those odds already for Crystal Palace and draw. Double them up. There's some really, really nice money to be made in there. And the amazing thing about Palace is that when Roy Hodgson came in, what do we all think was going to happen? We thought defense, 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 right? We thought they would keep the opponents out. They would shank their way to a couple of 1-0s. That ain't what's happened. They have been shooting from the left, from the right, from the centre. Every chance they've got, they've been going after the opponent. They beat Leicester. I know it was a late win, but they had 20-odd shots in that first half. They beat Leeds because after riding out a tough first half, they kept taking and creating opportunities. So, Crystal Palace to win this game. If they do, look at the over 10 shots market, the over 8 shots on target market is something I'd be looking at too. And look at Aberi Eze right now, 4 shots on target in his last 2 matches, scored against Leeds as well. 3 weeks ago, I think I'd have picked a 0-0 draw. Today, go for Palace win, double chance it, and look at the shots market for Palace.
Is Zaha playing? Monsieur Arteta is asking you.
No, it doesn't look like it. I think we're going to be at least 2 or 3 weeks away from Wilf Zaha coming back in. But actually, if you're a Palace fan, that might do them a favour. He's not going to be there next season. It's about time everyone moved on from Zaha, Crystal Palace. And judging by the Leeds game last week, they've started to.
Beautiful odds for Crystal Palace to win, 2.75. Most of our audience are taking these odds. And we have also Arbo telling you, I guess, perhaps it's me, Tom, but I would say it's you. This guy is a machine. Glad I found this channel. Thank you, Arbo. Tell your friends. Next game, Tottenham Bournemouth, still with hopes for Tottenham to qualify for the Champions League, although I would bet my money that they are not qualifying. 3 points away after that victory you mentioned against Brighton. Bournemouth, on the other hand, they are 3 points away from relegation. They are not drawing. They are either winning or losing, 3 victories in the last 5. That's why they are out of the relegation spots. And the last victory against Leicester, Tom, really well deserved and really important.
Yeah, look, I mean, briefly on Tottenham, there's not a great deal to say at this point on them. If they're going to win this game, they'll win it with Harry Kane scoring, right? That's it. So Harry Kane, 3 shots on target in this game is around 4-1. He's had, I think, 5 shots on target in the last game. Second top scorer in the Premier League this season. 22 scored, 5 in his last 4. 9 headers this season. If you want Tottenham to win, double it with Harry Kane. You might make some money. 1.5 for Tottenham is not particularly sexy without that. In terms of Bournemouth, what I love about Bournemouth and why I've kind of changed my mind on them staying up, I think they will now. And I've changed my mind in the last maybe 6-7 weeks, not just the last 2 or 3. They don't want to go down. They desperately do not want to go down. Gary O'Neill has instilled in this team, when you look at Philip Billing and some of the other players out there, the goalkeeper Neto, captain now, we ain't going down. I don't care what happens here. We are not going down. Give it everything you've got. Slog your guts to stay in this division. You ain't seeing that with Leicester. You ain't seeing it with Leeds. You're not seeing it with West Ham. You're not seeing it with a lot of these teams down there this season. You've been seeing it with Bournemouth now for weeks and weeks and weeks. They still have the same deficiencies. They still have the same lack of quality, but the desire is there. And if they are to win this game, it'll be a question of desire. How much do Tottenham think United and Newcastle will slip up? How much do they think that there'll be Champions League football there next season? How much do they care, considering many of these players won't be there in the next campaign? So that's the interesting thing here. So 2 scorelines. I think Tottenham win and Kane score, make it around 2-1. That might be doable. And I just don't think I can go Bournemouth win. I wouldn't discount it. I don't discount it. And the odds make it really interesting here. 7.5 just for Bournemouth to win. With the way they've played, I know it's win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. But if it's a question of wanting to win the game, Bournemouth are going to want to win it more. They don't have the quality, but they do have the desire. Double it with a Philip Billing goal, who scored some really crucial goals this season. He scored at Arsenal. He scored at Leicester. If you want Bournemouth to win, double it with Billing. That might be some money. But at 7-1, I actually quite like it. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm convincing myself to go for it.
Hassan is telling us, keep it simple. Spurs to win, Kane to score. This is a good combo. And if you are talking about Bournemouth wanting to stay in the Premier League, I guess the same we can say about Wolves. Next game is Wolves-Brentford. They are getting scrappy victories. The last one against Chelsea with Nunes scoring that goal. They also got an important point in Nottingham. Before that, they are getting good results under Lopetegui. And now they face Brentford. No victories in the last 4. Also, they had a tough opposition like Newcastle or Man United recently.
Look, at this point, with the tally being as it is in the bottom of the table, 31 compared to 27 may as well be 100 points. Like, it's a huge, huge gap for those teams down the bottom to make up, right? So, full congratulations to Wolves, because they've done it by beating Tottenham, Chelsea and Liverpool at home. You know, they're having bad seasons, the 3 of them, relative to previous campaigns. But to beat them at home has made a massive, massive difference. And what a great goal it was from Nunez last week against Chelsea. We picked Wolves to win, and that's exactly what happened. I think this will be a tougher game than all of those games. But on Wolves, I think that If they're going to win it, they win without conceding. 2.6 is quite nice. Look at Wolves to win without conceding, as they have done against those big teams this season that I've mentioned. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. So if they're going to win, that'll be the scoreline here. They will keep Brentford out. And still playing without a striker. But I do think that Mateus Nunes' goal last week should fill him with some confidence. I don't think he'll be there next season. I think he's already hawking around for a move. So he might get a little purple patch of form from a player on his way out of the club in Nunes last week following that volley. And for Wolves, I hope they do. I can see around 40 points for them come the end of this season. 9 more, 3 wins in 8. As for Brentford, look, the season is over for them a bit like Fulham. We see this a lot. We've spoken about this a lot. We picked out Brentford and Fulham to do this a few weeks ago. The goal has been achieved. The goal has been achieved. They overperformed by not being in this relegation battle. Terrific commendation for everyone involved at Brentford. But the squad, on the whole, should be in the relegation battle. They're not there because of Ivan Toney. They're not there because of a terrific run of form. They're not there because of Thomas Frank targeting victories and targeting teams and outworking teams. But right now, it's falling away. It's 2 points in the last 4. You know, they played well against Newcastle, but lost. They played well against Man United, but lost. They played well against Brighton, but drew. They played well against Leicester, but couldn't beat them at home. And it took a late equaliser against Fulham for them to get something there as well. No, against Crystal Palace even. So I think you've got to go Wolves win. You have to go Wolves win here. You have to do it because of the recent form and what's on the line and what isn't. 34 points is so tantalisingly close to Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'd go the under, definitely, under 2.5 in this game. If you do fancy Brentford, of course, you look at the Ivan Toney market. 4 shots on target in his last game against Newcastle, including 1 penalty scored, though 1 penalty missed that no one saw coming. 2 shots on target for him is 3-1. But I would go Wolves win and Toney has 2 shots on target. They're 2 things I feel quite confident of. Make it a 2.5 under result as well, and there's money to be made.
Viper, this screams a draw, 1-1 for 1-1 for Tyson, double chance for Slytherin. Imagine if this is a difficult one, because also Hassan is going for Brentford to win 2-0. There is value, double chance for Wolves, a lot of options. And Lou Ashby is happy to hear me pronounce Bournemouth. I do it wrongly, Tom?
I know we all enjoyed it. It sounded perfectly fine. There's a lot of movement in it. I like it, because I would say like Bournemouth, but you've given it lots more sound. I like it.
Tough one to pronounce. And the late kickoff on Saturday, Man City, Leicester City. I have to say that I'm very sad to see Leicester City in this position. It looks like they could go down, and it's a team that stole our hearts some seasons ago, but the victory against the defeat against Bournemouth looked very bad. What can you expect about Leicester going to Man City after the performance we saw from Man City in the Champions League against Bayern Munich?
Look, the only hope for Leicester is that City are so focused on the Champions League. They make so many changes. They have no rhythm in this game, and Leicester nick something from it. That has happened. That does happen. You know, Everton have won got a draw at City this season. You know, Brentford went to City and won. You know, you can go there and win this season at other points. Of course, right now, City are on their best winning run of the season. I think it's 6 in a row. They've won in the league. They've closed the gap on Arsenal to 6 points. They play each other later in April, and they close the gap here to 3 points before Arsenal play on Sunday, should they win it. So lots on the line here. Look, let's not waste too much time, okay? I think City are going to win this game. Evidently, they're going to win this game. They're better than Leicester City. I think Leicester are in massive, massive trouble. I think replacing Brendan Rodgers with Dean Smith is a bit mad. We'll see how it plays out, but they haven't brought him in to win this game. City win. Go for your Asian handicap. What do you fancy? How brave are you? I personally think going minus 3.5 here. That's 4-0 and above. I'd back it. I back it today. And couple it with, you know what I'm going to say, Haaland hat-trick. We were so close last week. Oh, if he just stayed on the field for 2 more minutes, he'd have got that hat-trick. There are going to be more hat-tricks. I was so close. So look, City win 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, double it with a Haaland thing. There might be some money there.
Actually, that's the tricky thing on betting on Haaland right now, that Guardiola is replacing him, and also Julian Alvarez is delivering. So it's a bit risky to bet on Haaland, but for sure it's a sure bet, almost betting on this Man City, Leicester on Man City to win. And we have 2 more games on Sunday. First one is a derby in London, West Ham Arsenal. Key victory for your West Ham against Fulham after that ugly defeat against Newcastle. Whereas for Arsenal, as you've just said, they have to play Man City in a couple of weeks, and they have to win this one also to keep the distance after the draw against Liverpool.
Yeah, look, with West Ham, there are games coming up for West Ham that are just critically important. They're 2 wins away now, I think, from safety, and they've got Bournemouth to come next week, Crystal Palace at home to come, Leeds at home to come, Leicester away to come. So there's wins there for West Ham. Brentford away is a possibility as well with the aforementioned discussion on Brentford. So I think there's a good 7 or 8 points left for West Ham this season. 7 or 8 points will get you there, 37-38. So I still think West Ham will be all right. It's going to be squeaky, but I do think they're going to make it. And I think as well, it's worth noting here, apart from the Newcastle victory, Newcastle winning at London Stadium, the humiliation that was on that Wednesday, West Ham actually at home have lost that. That's the only loss in 5. 2 wins, 2 draws, drew against Chelsea, they've drawn against Tottenham at home this season. So they can, if they have a good day, cause some damage to Arsenal here. So if you're a West Ham fan, you're looking at something, the draw at 4.5 is not something I would discount. I'm not going to put my money on it, but I think there's a possibility there if you feel like looking for an upset this weekend. In terms of Arsenal, even when West Ham have been better and Arsenal have been a lot worse, they still go to West Ham and win. They just go there and win. I think West Ham's last win was under Manuel Pellegrini, and Declan Rice scored and Samir Nasri set him up. So we're going back some years now for the last West Ham victory over Arsenal. How do Arsenal win it? They win it quite comfortably. They win it without conceding. I've been looking at least 2-0 for Arsenal in this game. I don't see West Ham scoring against Arsenal's defence. I think that you can't quite pick the West Ham defensive lineup because they changed basically everyone from the debacle against Newcastle, plus on Thursday they played in Belgium against Ghent. And I think they'll target Palace and Bournemouth, and they won't be targeting this game. And if they can beat Ghent, they're in a European semi-final with 2 winnable Premier League games to come before the next game. It's a tightrope for West Ham right now, but I do think there is a way to navigate it. So it doesn't include beating Arsenal. I think Arsenal, with pacing behind, beat West Ham by at least 2 goals. And look at the Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli markets, both scored in the match against Liverpool. They've got 3 goals in their respective last 4 matches. Jesus and Martinelli, look at the scoring markets for them, and Arsenal win without conceding.
Key game for Arsenal. They have to keep the distance with Man City. It's going to be a 2-0 or 3-0 to Arsenal. Crest is telling us, and Tyson, he says there is great value in the draw. We have also some, of course, Man City fans hoping for your West Ham to get some points against Arsenal, but Tom is not really confident. Remember that West Ham is playing indeed against Ghent in the Conference League. And also on Sunday, we have Man United because they are involved in European competitions against Sevilla in the Europa League, playing against Nottingham Forest. Let's see if Man United drop again points away, because it's true that they won the last 2 home games against Everton and Brentford, but away only 1 victory in the last 5 Premier League games. Tom, and Forest, they are under pressure back to the bottom 3.
Yeah, look, with Nottingham Forest, if they're going to stay in the Premier League, and a few weeks ago, I picked them over Bournemouth to stay out. That was my variable, and I went the other way on it. The away form is what's going to send Forest down at the moment. The home form has been pretty good across the season, 5 wins in 15 this campaign, but even that's trailed off. They can't win at the moment. They drew against Man City. They drew against Everton. They drew against Wolverhampton Wanderers and lost against Newcastle. So they've stopped winning at home and they never win away. Big, big trouble. I think this has to be a win for Nottingham Forest if they are going to stay in the Premier League this season. They have to win something unexpected if they're going to stay in the Premier League this season. The team has not made sense for a lot of the campaign. There are so many injuries, 11 players out, and who knows whether they were starters or not. I'm not sure the coach would even know. But if you're looking at the Forest market, how have they won those big games this season? 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. That's how they've done it. So if they're going to win, they're going to stop Manchester United from scoring, and their goal is only going to be scored by Brennan Johnson. So if you're looking for a Forest win, that's what I'd be looking at. But 6-1 for Forest to win is already quite tasty. It's Man United to win and the various Man U markets that you want to be looking at. And the good news for them, Casemiro's back after his latest ridiculous suspension. Hopefully he'll play for the rest of this season. And he was a crucial player when they played each other in the Carabao Cup semi-final. A couple of shots on target in that game for Casemiro. I'm not saying bet on that, but it's quite interesting that This is the team that he seemed to like playing against the most offensively. Look, I think if Rashford's fit, which he's apparently going to be, Man United are going to win this game. It's not great to bet on Man United to win at 1.68. So what else have you got? I'd be looking at Man United to win this game without conceding. I think the under 2.5. I think the 1-0 or 2-0 market is what I'd be looking at, and double it up with a goal scorer. Why not Casemiro? It's a fancy one, I know, but he's back. We've missed him. We know he's been a threat from set pieces this season, from free kicks, from corners. So Man United win, low scoring. Look at the corner market, over 5, over 8. And why not Casemiro to score?
Big fan of Casemiro. Arbo United are a different team with the great Casemiro. I completely agree. Hassan says that this game screams draw. I think Hassan is a Man City fan, so perhaps this is wishful thinking from Hassan. And the last game on Monday is Leeds Liverpool. Leeds only 2 points away from relegation after that defeat against Crystal Palace, whereas for Liverpool, they are winless in the last 5 games since they thrashed Man United. Only 3 victories away this season, Tom. Same victories as Bournemouth, by the way, away. Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
Incredible. Beautifully said, whoever that team is. This game is terrific. What a terrific game of football this is. If Leeds win it, it's the game that keeps them up. It puts them to 32 with a good amount of games to be played. Yes, the Crystal Palace game was a debacle in the second half this weekend, but in general, they actually played quite well in the first 45. I know it sounds weird to say, being they lost 5-1 to a local rival, a relegation rival even, but they still played reasonably well. And what Leeds have is goal threat. They have goal threat continually and endlessly. They look worse in midfield without Tyler Adams, absolutely. But in Nonto and Somerville, in Sinistera, in Bamford, they've got people who can score goals. And they will score at least 1 goal against Liverpool in this game. A team, of course, they famously beat under Jesse Marsh at Anfield earlier this campaign. So look at the various Leeds to score markets. Feel free to pick a winner. I think they score at least 1. If they score 2, they get something from this game. With Liverpool, you're absolutely right to highlight the form since the game against Man United. But we knew at the time that was an anomaly. We knew that wasn't going to continue. We knew the season in general had been bad. Defensively poor, midfield is weak. The offense is very hit and miss. Mo Salah missing penalties, 2 in a row, missing the target as well. Who saw that coming? So go the over here. It's going to be great. I can't wait to watch this game. Go over 2.5 goals in this game. That's 2-1, that's 2-2, that's 3-3. I don't discount any of those scores. I think both teams are going to score in this match. I think you can look at a high shot count in this match. Go 10 and 10 for both teams. And from that point, whatever you bet on top of that, you're already making money. If you want to couple it with a result, the draw is really nice. Draw on both teams score. That's what I'd be picking out here. I still won't pick Leeds, only because it's the less likely outcome. And I've already got some bets that are going to come in. But if you're looking for a winner, and that's what you want to go for, I wouldn't discount it for you.
Well, both teams to score looks like a good option. Also, Viper is going for it. Hassan, really nice odds for Liverpool. Well, 1.8 is not that high, to be honest, considering that they've only won 3 games away this season. This is it, Tom. Every good thing in life comes to an end, also our show. But before, let's listen to your safe bet.
You know my safe bet at this point. It's going to come in 30 to 33 times this season. It keeps coming in. It's only 1.21, but it's safe. Manchester City are going to win this weekend. So back them heavy.
Indeed. Perhaps even -1, and you can spice it up, make it more sexy, as you would say, Tom Rennie. And your ACCA?
3-team ACCA this week. I keep getting 2 of 3. It's winding me up at this point, but this one is going to come in. It's a low odds ACCA. City, Arsenal, Man U, all to win. 3-1. Get it done.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks everyone for watching. Just remember, press the like, subscribe, and find our live videos, by the way, in the live tab in our YouTube channel. See you next week. Bye.